Hi, this is my second summary for the book, The Power of Habits. Like I stated in the first summary, I really enjoyed this book. I thought it was a really easy read. Um, the second part of this book, I thought, focused more on companies' perspective of how they can use their customers' habits into pulling them in to try and up their sales and different things like that. So the two questions we're discussing are discuss the methods of habit formation in families and communities. So one example the book gave was the company Alco and the new CEO. I think his last name was maybe O'Neill. So this kind of talked about how small habits can lead into bigger habit formation, kind of like a ripple effect. So when this new CEO of Alco came in, he came in at a time that sales were low, stakeholders were starting to pull out, people were really upset. And when he came in, his first focus was not what people expected. It was on employee safety. So his main priority was keeping his employers safe. And this, like I said, had a ripple effect on different habits. So employee safety became the standard. No injuries was expected. And through this, better communication habits were developed. This allowed more ideas to come in up the chain of command, and better ideas came better sales. So really just this one focus of better habits kind of created this whole different lifestyle within this company. The second question is discuss the methods of habit change in families and communities. So this links back to Rosa Parks and the Montgomery bus boycott. So what they talked about was there are three parts to kind of a social change in habits. So first, something needs to happen to one of our close friends. So the example that they gave was, Rosa Parks having to go to jail because she refused to give up her spot. And so people that were close to her wanted to be a part of, an uprising. Second is that this movement grew from the habits of the community. So this is when they brought in the weak ties situation. So, and where peer pressure really had an effect on habit change. So there was this group of people that were going to participate in this boycott, and friends of a friend wanted to join because they didn't want to be the social outcast. They saw their friends and they didn't want to be the one who, people said, oh, look, they're not participating. And the third is that these habit chains endure because they're given a new habit. So people wanted to do this boycott because this was going to lead to the desegregation of not only buses, but kind of like a citywide movement. Relating this back to my personal life, I work at a hospital, and a few years back we had an increased number of falls, and we couldn't really figure out what was going on. So there were many new implementations that took place. So one, which was actually kind of ties to the CEO of Alco, was that anytime there was a patient fall, the charge nurse on the floor needed to immediately contact the assistant CNO. She wanted to know in real time what was happening. When we communicated these falls with her, we also had to talk about, what could we have done better to prevent these falls. And then secondly, there was a new bed shift report mandatory checklist. So the day shift and night shift nurse had to go over this at the bedside. And it enticed people to do it because you didn't want to be the person left out, and you didn't want to have a family member or patient say, everyone else has been doing this. Is there a reason you're not going over the checklist of making sure all these fall precautions are in place? So it really created a whole movement at the hospital I work at, and I think the numbers of falls drastically went down. Like I said, I really enjoyed this book. It was very eye-opening, made me more self-aware of different habits that I have, and then that take place in our community and at our hospitals. and some things that definitely will stick with me long after this class is over. So thank you for listening.